All right, you're joining us here at the bunker at Downsview Park. This is the 2013 Quad City Chaos. I am Monichrome, joined here by Lightning Slim.
Hello, folks. Glad to be here once again, and you are about to witness a matchup between the Ohio Roller Girls All-Stars. They are dressed in the white, and the Lake Effect Furies of Queen City. That's Buffalo. If you don't know, they're in the black.
So, Slim, you've been watching this morning and all day yesterday. How are you feeling about these two teams and how they're going to match up?
I think the Furies are going to be in tough against Ohio. Ohio is a team that's been on a meteoric rise after a punishing schedule last year. They were able to rise quickly through the ranks of the Women's Flat Track Derby Association, and I think the Furies are going to have a tough time with them, but Derby time is anything can happen time, Chrom.
You got it. Looks like we've just got a couple more minutes before the game gets going, but both teams are on the jammer line and ready to go. That jammer line is brought to you by Wicked Skatewear, an apparel and uniform company that happens to also sell roller skates and gear. They're based out of Huntington Beach and Strychnine and B-Train. Make your orders happen. Visit them at info@wickedskatewear.com.
On the jammer line, in the white, the captain of Ohio. That is number 23, Phoenix Buns.
Having a hard time locating who the Furies jammer is out there.
It is Libralian.
There she is.
Libralian doing some heavy lifting for this Furies team throughout this tournament.
Definitely a strong jammer and a force to be reckoned with on the track.
And the action is underway. Libralian, number 622 in the black, squirts out front. She is lead.
Wasn't quite sure she would actually stay on her feet, but she managed to keep it going. Defying gravity a bit in that first pass.
The pivot for the Furies heading to the penalty box quickly. The penalties are happening. Libralian flips over a blocker, calls off the jam.
And she's called out on a penalty. She was not lead jammer. Oh, she had a back block major. It's going to the penalty box. This is a power jam for Ohio.
She did have lead, but did take that back block and was unable to call off the jam. This jam will now skate to its natural conclusion, Chrom.
It sure will, and this is not the start that the Furies needed to start this game with.
Indeed, Libralian tripping and flipping over Bratislava Bruiser, and now Phoenix Buns going to work, avoiding a hit there and skating onwards with a grand slam.
Vagina Warrior was doing a great job holding her back, though, really slowing down that momentum at the front.
Vagina Warrior once again, yes, with the hip to Phoenix Buns, but Phoenix Buns, a creature of tremendous energy, skates on.
Oh, and the Furies are successful in knocking her down. Ohio doing a great sweep to the inside, leaving lots of room. The Ohio bench hoping for her to call it off, but she knows that she is not lead jammer and lets her bench know on the pass around.
Libralian back in the thick of things. Both jammers now skating. Phoenix Buns makes one more pass, puts up 5 points, and a 3-point pickup for Libralian and the Furies.
Not bad.
And so, after that jam, 27.5 minutes remaining, a score of 30-3 in favor of Ohio.
And it looks like there is an official review, potentially a timeout called by the Furies. That was a timeout.
Guillotine coaching for the Furies, having a chat with the officials. Great Scott coaching for Ohio, joining the circle. Both coaches, of course, present for these reviews. On the jammer line, in the jam to come, in the white for Ohio, we will have Smacktivist, and she will face number 525 for the Furies. That's Addie Rawl.
While we're paused here, we were talking about the jammer line a bit, but we failed to mention the pivot line. Somehow in the last 7 years of roller derby here in Canada, we've been drifting away from that line, but luckily we do have a pivot line sponsor. First Aid Training is my first aid trainer, provides first aid training, first aid support, and first aid equipment, specializing in professional instruction and approved certification for the workplace, private groups, and individuals. They are our sponsor, also providing first responder care for many of our skaters who are there during practice. I think we forget that injuries happen everywhere we're playing roller derby, and while we have a dedicated EMT team here for our tournaments and gameplays, it's nice to have that at practice as well.
That's right, folks. Don't let your first aid knowledge become as neglected as the pivot line. I should mention, while we're talking about first aid, in that previous game that you saw here on Canuck Derby TV, in which Ohio's B team played, both Pearl Rogie and Texas Chainsaw received hits to the face, and I would like to report to the folks back home in Ohio, if you're listening, they are both just fine. More time being put into this official review. Now the referees have gathered together and are now in a referee discussion at the center of the oval, and both teams milling about having a discussion as they prepare to play again. Not quite sure what the subject at hand would be. We really only had about 1.5 jams under our belts.
I'd wager a guess that they're contemplating whether that back block major happened before or after she was attempting to call.
Roller derby, a sport not using the technology of instant replay, mainly for financial reasons, if I'm honest. So we may never know. We would like to thank some of our other sponsors, particularly the ones responsible for this on-air broadcast that you hear. We would like to thank Rollerbug, Sugar Bomb, Rumbling Rage, and the Electric Skate Company with Derby Skins.
Looks like we're getting some information from the refs now. Of course, we'd also like to thank this ref crew, all of our referees and NSOs, non-skating officials in the light pink shirts, are here on a volunteer basis. If you are interested in being a part of roller derby, maybe a little apprehensive about putting skates on, we'd be happy to have you. Feel free to contact your local derby league to see if you can participate. Or if you're in the Toronto area, feel free to email us at volunteer@torontorollerderby.com.
We now have clarification on that official timeout. It was about scoring, Chrom. The Lake Effect Furies of Queen City felt that they had made an additional scoring pass other than what the referees had awarded. There is, however, no change to the score as we begin again.
And we have Smacktivist, number 3 for Ohio, skating against Addie Rawl for Queen City. Both furiously fast jammers, and they're both out of the pack.
Addie Rawl, of course, an alternate for Team USA at the recent World Cup of Roller Derby. Smooth skating, although it is Smacktivist out in front. Oh, nifty maneuver by Smacktivist. Calling off the jam quickly and picking up...
Looks like 3 points.
3 points, yes.
Ohio not quite running away with this. They're sitting at 33 points against Queen City's 3. Definitely off to a good start with less than 5 minutes gone in this game.
Hellion Boy jamming for Ohio.
And that's Low Hits Griffin for Queen City.
Low Hits Griffin pulling double duty. She skated for the Devil Dollies in her league's B team game yesterday, showing no lack of energy as she picks up lead jam position.
Yes, many of these skaters, Ohio included, did play both B and A team games. So they're really packing in as many games as possible this weekend at Quad City Chaos.
We do appreciate the efforts of our neighbors for heading all the way up to Toronto to participate in this tournament. And they've certainly created some entertaining roller derby for the crowd here in attendance and for you folks at home.
Fury's doing a great job of isolating Hellion Boy at the back of the pack.
Low hits Griffin.
And she gets a cut major for that skim along the inside line.
Guillotine on the bench for the Furies was applauding the athleticism of his jammer as she jumped over the apex, but unfortunately she landed with 1 foot wrong.
That's all it takes. Looks like Ohio is passing the star now, hoping to derail the blockers in the pack, but they are unfazed. They still have this pivot jammer stuck at the back.
They have given the star to Phoenix Buns. Never a bad choice, and she surges ahead, fights her way through the crowd, now skating in the free and open spaces.
Fury's doing a great job of isolating one of Ohio's blockers at the front, forcing the pack way up high. Great way to neutralize that conga line at the back is to snatch one up and bring her forward with you, and they were doing a great job there. Looks like that's time.
With 24.5 minutes remaining, Ohio a score of 38. The Furies 17, certainly within striking distance of changing the fortunes of their team.
Like the Furies are starting with their jammer in the box and a blocker for each team.
Kitty Lickerbottom skating for Ohio, skating solo, taking some heavy hits on her way through the pack, however, emerges as lead jammer.
And she's up against number 52, QT, and number 54 from the Furies. Doing a great job of bringing her back and allowing their jammer a little extra time to make it through.
Number 54 is Head Huntress, who was notably ejected from last night's bout against CN Power right at the end of the bout. However, she seems to have regained her composure and is back on the track for the Furies now.
QT as well was fouled out in that last bout. Both very physical players, and sometimes that can get the better of you. Looks like both blockers here are standing, ready to be released from the penalty box, as they have less than 10 seconds to go. Librolian and Lorraine Acid head to head.
Lorraine Acid normally utilized in a blocking role, taking a turn with the jammer star, a diminutive but very physical player right now, stuck in the pack, and yes, it is Librolian as lead jammer. Both jammers inside the pack, the difference being Librolian has a lap ahead, avoids a hit from Phoenix Buns. Librolian skates on, receiving instructions from her bench. She calls it off.
She skates away with 5 points. Lake Effect Furies chipping away at this lead. Looks like we have Smacktivist lined up for Ohio, Addy Rawl for Queen City.
This is a matchup we have seen before. It has gone either way previously, but the Smacktivist has had the better of it in this bout. This time, Addy Rawl making an early play to the front of the pack, and she is lead.
Oh, and she doesn't quite juke around. Is that number 711?
That's Day Tripper.
There's got to be a pun in there somewhere. I'm waiting for it, Slim.
Addie Rawl fights her way to the front of the pack. The jam is called off. Coach Great Scott holding up his hand. He wants 3 points. He'll get 2.
He'll get 2. Doesn't hurt to ask.
Absolutely. Coach is well known for being very optimistic in their mathematical skills when assessing how their jammers have done in a particular jam. Addie Rawl, a fantastic skater, a member of Team USA. Often, though, I would think intimidated by physical play. She can be knocked down and forced off of her game. Mm-hmm. Play, however, has started once again, and this is a lead jam for the Furies. Low hits Griffin.
Kitty Lickerbottom seems to be just out of the pack, while Low Hits is looking for a scoring pass. Her bench is telling her to call it off. It looks like Kitty Lickerbottom stole some points. Let's see if she got all 4. No, the ref is saying 3.
Not bad for a pickup, however. Kitty Lickerbottom putting in a very good performance against Rideau Valley yesterday. We return to the Wicked Skateware jammer line. We are looking at number 23 in the white. That is Phoenix Bunch. Faces number 99 in the black. Jamming for the Furies. That is Abercrombie and Fists.
She also had a phenomenal night last night. This is the first time we're seeing her jam today. Oh, and just...
takes a spill with Out of My Way, man.
Was hoping the ref would call a back block or a low block. She does neither. It looks like no pass, no penalty.
And now Ohio with the lead, forced to call it off as Abercrombie and Fists was way ahead.
Only 25 points separating these teams. And only 18 minutes left in this half. Could be anybody's game at this point.
Number 365, the Smacktivist, returning to the jammer line for Ohio. She faces the Libralian. Libralian, very effective at these scrum-style starts, bursting her way through the pack, and she has lead. Meanwhile, the Smacktivist fights her way to the front of the pack, and now she has one to beat, and she's free.
Just barely. I'm sure I'm not the only one holding my breath when they're skimming along that inside line. Libralian hits it and quits it, calls it off.
And a 4-point pickup, 4 in the door, and 50-29 the score. As you said earlier, Chrom, the Furies chipping away and looking confident on the bench. Hellion Boy and Addie Rawl, jammers of the right now.
I must say, I'm looking at these matchups throughout the weekend, and Addie Rawl just danced her way through that pack. It seems that all of the teams this weekend have been really looking forward to skating against Ohio and testing their skills and their prowess. And the Furies really taking a surge ahead in these last couple jams.
Addie Rawl, yes, in particular, a tremendous athlete, somewhat absent in her earlier bouts this weekend, and seems to have saved a little something for Ohio. And as you said, perhaps it was the prospect of testing their mettle against a team ranked so much higher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if I was the bench manager here, I would save my best of the best for this last game of the weekend for these two teams.
Smacktivist and Low Hits Griffin into the thick of things. Low Hits Griffin goes to the outside, takes a hit from Phoenix Buns between turns 1 and 2, while the Smacktivist tries to get into the thick of things, and she is lead.
Day Tripper throwing a lot of heavy hits to get her jammer through this pack. Oh, but it wasn't enough as Smacktivist jumps over the apex and is through the pack before anyone even notices.
That was a smooth little cruise through the inside for her and calls it off.
In all fairness, it happened so fast I barely caught it. And my job is to just watch the jammers and the pack in general.
Kitty Lickerbottom takes to the jammer line for Ohio once again. And she is facing Abercrombie and Fists, who, as you said, not used in a jamming role thus far this weekend. They've put her into the rotation for this bout.
Looks like we've got the super scrum here, each team just playing D.
Kitty Lickerbottom sort of stumbles through to the inside line, but she'll take it, puts on a burst of speed as lead jammer.
QCRG a little slow to help their jammer through. They're trying to mitigate any damage that Ohio's putting out.
Abercrombie and Fists now re-engaging with the pack in the center. Fights her way to the front. Kitty Lickerbottom has been recycled. This is good defensive play from Queen City. One to beat near turn number 4, and Abercrombie and Fists is through, and that was her initial pass. No score yet.
Yep. And Kitty Lickerbottom takes her 4 points and calls it.
Coach Scott calling for 4 points and got 5. This is somehow it all works out in the end. Receiving a correction from the ever-knowledgeable derby nerd, Abercrombie & Fist did jam this weekend against CN Power while I was asleep at the wheel.
You're allowed a break once in a while.
I was watching that game as a spectator, Chrom.
Yeah.
I was enjoying myself.
It was so intense. It's hard to tell.
Libralian, speaking of intense, battling her way to the front of the pack, falls in turn number 2, quickly back to her skates. And
Defying
bodies
gravity,
continue to fall. Yes, exactly.
Hellion Boy stuck behind number 54 and 7-11 and QT. Those three have been throwing out some heavy hits all weekend long.
Hellion Boy, a fairly diminutive person, perhaps overmatched in terms of stature, as the Lake Effect Furies are almost to a player quite large in stature.
I wouldn't let size fool you, though. I think these Ohio girls are all muscle.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, all players contain their own share of tricks and surprises. Phoenix Buns, no subtlety there, though, as she knocks down Libralian with a textbook hip check and drags her to the back of the pack.
Hellion Boy leaving it all out on the track here, just trying to make it to the front.
Libralian also now on a scoring pass in the thick of things, being bedeviled by Bratislava Bruiser, and an out-of-play penalty that accompanies that late hit by Bratislava Bruiser, and a grand slam going to the Furies.
Hellion Boy passed that star on to, I'm not sure whom. Number 23.
It's Phoenix Buns.
Phoenix Buns. Backup jammer whenever you need to get out.
It's
She's the girl you call.
It seems to be a when-in-doubt play for Ohio.
Yeah.
Not a bad play either. I'd put good money on that if I was in a tight spot.
That's one takeaway from this tournament that I've seen is there are a lot of star passes happening this weekend, more than I've seen in any other tournament.
Ohio seems to make a policy of it. That is true. And Smacktivist taking to the jammer line for Ohio.
Certainly nice to see that as Derby progresses, that jammer or pivot ends up being less so of a mama hen and the girl that calls the shots and more of that backup jammer when you need her. Taking on a different mothering role, if you will.
Out of my way man heads to the penalty box for Ohio. She is joined by a skater from the Furies. Penalties piling up now. Addie Rawl with a grand slam.
Smacktivist still isolated at the back of this pack. She just almost made it through, but I think that's Vagena. Tears her out, makes her way to the back.
Vagena Warrior going to work on Smacktivist. Finally earns a penalty for her efforts, but I think she feels that it was a worthy trade. She held up Smacktivist for quite some time as Addie Rawls picking up points.
And she calls it.
Timeout being called by Ohio. Look at that, Monichrome. 3 points separate these teams. 10 minutes remaining in the first half of play. No wonder Ohio is calling for a timeout. It is time to get things back under control for Coach Scott.
Yeah, these timeouts are great for just taking that minute to reset, rethink things, and refocus, especially when you see a lead change coming up behind.
Indeed, the Lake Effect Furies of Queen City coming out of Buffalo. Not the greatest luck in this tournament so far, but they are surging and trying to make a comeback against Ohio, a much higher ranked opponent, and I'm sure they would love to do well against this Ohio team.
Absolutely. This could be a game changer in terms of all of the rankings for the teams here tonight. You can tear Ohio down a notch. I think everybody else that lost might end up moving up a little bit higher.
We now have a meeting near the center of the track. The officials calling over both coaches and captains and a discussion of the previous play. We will have our referee liaison showing up shortly to give us some clarification, I hope. Indeed, here comes Jet Boy, the Natalie dressed referee announcer liaison. He'll give us some knowledge on what has occurred, but it looks like we're ready to begin play.
We have Phoenix Buns jamming for Ohio, Low Hits Griffin for Buffalo. And they're off. Phoenix Buns just tiptoeing her way across that outside line. She is the lead jammer. Meanwhile, Low Hits Griffin just has 2 to beat. But Ohio recycles back up, laying some heavy hits. And we have a natural grand slam for Phoenix Buns.
We've had some clarification. There was no review component to that timeout. It was simply an Ohio timeout, and there was maybe a bit of record keeping happening between the officials. Phoenix Buns, wheels of fire, just circumnavigating the track with great speed.
Low Hit stuck behind Out of My Way Man for a good long while. This is her first weekend back after a year off of Derby. But by the way she's skating this weekend, you'd never know it. Oh.
A low hit penalty coming there to Head Huntress. She knocks down Phoenix Buns, but does not appear to slow her progress. Another grand slam coming for Ohio. Obviously one of the more effective, cost-effective timeouts we've seen in this tournament as Coach Scott gets his team under control and reestablishes the lead for Ohio.
As I said earlier, it's amazing how long a minute feels when you just need that moment. Can definitely be a game changer. But it's also a dangerous thing too. The Furies, I don't think, utilized as much as they could have. Oh, another jump on the apex. Phoenix Buns still through, and the bench staff for Queen City are not happy about that last pass. Once again, Queen City scooping up another natural grand slam.
Vagena Warrior inside the pack was trying to throw herself around just to get some intimidation and make things happen, but unfortunately it just created more space on the track for Phoenix Buns to move. Abercrombie and Fists returns to the track for the Furies. With 8 minutes left, we have a score of 94-60 in favor of Ohio.
That's Kitty Lickerbottom jamming for Ohio. She's taking the inside. Her team doing a great job of playing defense and offense. Both jammers still stuck, though. It seems we have two different packs going right now.
Kitty Lickerbottom emerges in front of both of them. Has lead.
Abercrombie with just one to beat.
Kitty Lickerbottom approaches the pack. There she is. You can see her fighting against that wall in black. In front of her, she tries to the outside. Fights her way through.
Meanwhile, Abercrombie and Fist is being drawn back to the back of the pack.
That timeout must have included some chat about defense as well as offense.
And Abercrombie finally pushes her way through. Those all toe stops.
Kitty Lickerbottom keeping an eye on Abercrombie and Fist, deciding to call it off before Fists can encounter the pack. Effective points management there by Ohio. Bratislava Bruiser taking her first turn with the Jammer Star in this contest. That's number 1993 in the white. And you see there a shot of the penalty box. 2 in the box for Ohio. 1 for the Furies. That's Headhuntress.
Libralian looking to take advantage of this pack disadvantage, but she gets drawn back.
And it is Phoenix Buns acting in a pivoting role, who's putting out Libralian and fighting every step of the way with her. She's free now, but Bratislava Bruiser has half a track on her.
And she calls it.
With an apex jump, Bratislava Bruiser puts up some points, calls off the jam. Tidy play by Ohio here, and having reestablished their lead in the last 10 minutes or so, we're looking at 107-60 in their favor. 5.5 minutes remaining in the first half.
Seems that they've reestablished that game in the last 2 or 3 jams, not 10 minutes. There's been a big change here.
Kitty Lickerbottom just looked back at me and pointed at Bratislava Bruiser and heaped praise upon her teammate.
Oh, and Addy Roll leads out as lead jammer Smacktivist finally breaking through the pack, and she's gaining on her. This pack is moving mighty fast, 2-on-2. As Vagena re-enters the pack. It's a great strategy by Ohio to just keep it moving.
Addie Rawle racing to catch up with this pack. Addie Rawle is a Division I softball player in Buffalo, and she won gold and bronze medals in 2007 and 2008 at the Empire State Games. Obviously a multi-talented athlete.
Ohio in the lead now, 107 to Queen City 60. We have Kitty Lickerbottom jamming for Ohio. Libralian back on the line again for Queen City.
I feel that Libralian will not be satisfied and will keep appearing on the track until she gets lead jam. And she's fighting her way to the front of the pack now to do just that. She has one to beat. Oh, that one is Phoenix Buns. Could be difficult. She spins around the outside. She has lead, Libralian.
Seems that Phoenix Buns has her number and is on top of her every step of the way.
Kitty Lickerbottom has escaped the pack also, but it is Libralian who is chasing a very fast-moving pack. Ohio content to play the runaway right now.
Oh, and they're trying to trap back Phoenix Buns, and it is not quite effective. Oh, they do steal away 2 points.
Yeah, mission accomplished for Libralian. She's pretty happy with that result on that jam, considering how quickly that pack was moving. She'd be able to capture a couple of points. Addy Roll back on the track. They're short-shifting some of these jammers. And she faces Smacktivist. Smacktivist performing very well in both blocking and jamming roles this weekend.
Addy Roll trying to go up the center, but Smacktivist steals it on the inside. She is lead jammer. Addy Roll hot on her tail. Once again, the pack is moving mighty fast. Each team trying to clip one off. Oh, and Smacktivist just leaps over that apex, picks up 4 points, and calls it.
Monichrome, do you remember the old days when there was only one fancy pants player in every league who could jump the apex?
I do, in fact. As we were watching these teams race, I couldn't help but think of 2007 and how it also harkened back to 1930s roller derby.
Indeed.
When it was all racing.
All racing all the time. But it is a testament to the athleticism and the dedication of these skaters that you can get that skill level in just about any team you'd care to mention. Somebody's going to try and do a little hop over the apex.
Yep.
Someone's going to race the pack. Everyone's getting very pro at this. Phoenix Buns now lead jammer.
Speaking of pros, she has got a commanding lead now on Low Hits Griffin, who's jamming for Queen City.
It is said that at the beginning of each bout, Coach Scott unpacks a shiny new Phoenix Buns robot ready to play. And she has 4 points on that pass and looking for more.
Queen City now looking like they were trying to hold back a little bit, preventing that race up. But Ohio kept that speed fast.
We have time for one more jam in the first half. 115-63, the current score in favor of Ohio over the Lake Effect Furies of Queen City.
Just one sitting in the box now for Queen City.
It is Headhuntress once again. I'd be curious to see at halftime how many penalties she has accumulated.
Meanwhile, Kitty Lickerbottom looks like she has just about 2 steps ahead, but Libralian is the lead jammer, eking around the outside.
Kitty Lickerbottom taking a hit there from Vegeta Warrior, who's just a bowling ball, knocking down all kinds of blockers.
Yeah, she skates with no fear. Oh, Libralian doing a nice little juke around many skaters, does a spin around, just has those 2 to beat, and she calls it.
She's in Canada. She pulled a hockey maneuver, the spin-o-rama. And that'll do it for the first half of this contest. Ohio with a score of 115. The Lake Effect Furies with 63, but no small amount of confidence, I would suspect, Monichrome.
No, absolutely. I mean, we saw, we're at 66 now with that point adding in. Early in that game, we did see a huge disparity between these two teams, and Queen City really wrapped it in and brought it within 1 point. So I think a good timeout and some hydration will definitely change this game once again.
I'm Lightning Slim. I am here with Monichrome. We will be back after the halftime. We will have some stats for you and the exciting conclusion of this bout.